Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. Hope everybody's having a good day, pleasant day. Yesterday was quite a day. I'm pretty sure that everybody here, a lot of people here that listen to this podcast are residents of the United States of America. Yesterday, there was a alert that occurred around 11:20 my time, in which every device, every phone, every TV, every radio station, every form of technology that can receive an alert got a huge alert all at the same time. And I was able to actually see multiple people, TVs, radios, all get this alert at the same exact time. It was quite remarkable, if I'm being completely honest, because I actually knew that this was coming, right? The day before, I was scrolling X, and I was looking at things, and I saw that there was a media company, I think it was Variety, that I follow on X, and they posted that there was going to be a massive alert test throughout the entire United States. And this is, what, the government sends out when there's like emergencies or things that you need to be aware of at that moment. And then it was just a test. And I had completely forgot about it until when it actually happened, and everybody got it at once, and I was like, whoa, what's going on? And I looked at it, and it was just a test, this is a test to see if this works, and it did work at the same time that they said that it would go on. And I was thinking to myself before that, like, is it actually going to go on? What if it doesn't? What if it's delayed? What if it's like, I guess, like, they did say that it was going to be at this certain time of the day. And what I was just thinking to myself, like, what if, like, it doesn't work, or what if, like, it goes on within, like, ever so many, like, increments of time, like, this region gets it here at this time, but no, it all went on at the same exact time. And I was actually kind of thinking to myself, as soon as it happened, I knew it was a test, I knew it was going to happen, I knew it was, it was just a test. But what if there was actually a national emergency? Like, what if there was actually something that would trigger the United States government to launch one of these alerts? Because now that we know that this technology, even though it's not even that big of a, that much of a groundbreaking tech, that it actually does work. And it works pretty well, because I was seeing and hearing other people get it at the same time, and I was just thinking to myself, like, well, you know what, this, even though I'm pretty sure I've received them before in the past, knowing when it was going to happen, like, this was supposed to be scheduled at this day, at this time, the fact that it actually happened at that day, at that time, pretty remarkable. You think with, like, how big the country is and how this is all going to shape out, that there might be some delays or might be some complications, but there wasn't. Now, to bring it back to the conversation of what if there was actually a reason to push that alert button? What would it be? What really determines the national alert button? I'm thinking to myself, like, maybe one of the obvious reasons for, like, you to get, like, a national, like a everybody in the country gets this alert, would have to be like a huge earthquake, like that shakes, like, the entire country, or that a meteor is coming to Earth, or that maybe Yellowstone erupts and the world is going to end. Right, that would be like something that I think that the country, the government, who's ever running these alerts would be like, yeah, this particular event is worth having a national alert go out to everybody in the country. Now, that would be actually terrible because that would be no fun. Like, could you imagine that there is a national alert because Yellowstone erupts? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like, the volcanoes in Yellowstone that when they blow up, like they're supposed to be such a big eruption that it destroys the world, or at least like destroys like the entire country or the entire continent of North America. I can't remember which one exactly, but I was thinking to myself, like, that would be probably something that, they would do it, and they would have, it would be a traumatic and a gigantic disaster. But it would have some time for the officials who work with the alerts to alert everybody else in the country. Obviously, probably at this point, the people that live near Yellowstone, in Yellowstone, are probably already toast at this point. They're already burnt to a crisp, unfortunately. But everybody else in the country is probably going to be like, seeing the ripples of that explosion and like seeing like gigantic clouds of ash and smoke just engulf the sky. And, you'd be like, whoa, what's going on here? And then you get like an alert like, Yellowstone just blew up. The world is ending. Find shelter now or you'll die. Like, could you imagine that? That would be something that's very not fun. Like, that would be like a disaster that's like, you know what? Getting this alert is making me even more scared than I thought than I need to be at this moment. Just because like the sound of the alert too, like the little alarm and the beep, not the beep, but the alarm that goes in with the alert is very, very scary. And whoever like decided to pick the sound of the national alert system is kind of an evil genius, because it is in no way, shape, or form something that I want to hear ever. Like, when I see, like, if I'm watching TV, let's say, and it's happened in the past, like, if there's, like, a tornado that is, like, that they think that could, like, touch ground in the area that I'm living in, they will play, like, a similar alert on the TV with the same type of sound. Like, that sound that alert makes is not pleasant. It's actually terrifying, and I don't think that that is something that I want to hear when something bad is about to happen. I would almost rather it just happen and me not really know too much about it, if I'm being completely honest, because that sound and that alert just heightens my stress, and it would just heighten my fear, and that's not something that I want. That's not something that I would want in my final minutes on this earth, or like the final minutes before my house gets absolutely fucking blown away by a tornado, or something like that. Whoever thought of that is an evil genius, because it hits you to your soul. Like, the sound of when it happens, it is just like fear inducing, and like you almost kind of want to crumble up in a ball and just kind of wait it out, and hopefully you survive. Like, hopefully you will prevail, survive, and you'd be like, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna be okay. That would be something that I would not want to hear before disaster strikes, right? I guess like maybe a fun one, maybe not a fun one actually, a really bad one, maybe even worse than volcano, because the volcano erupts, like, you don't really like. I don't think that you could actually predict when a volcano erupts. I don't think you can. Maybe I'm wrong, but like, as far to my knowledge, and it isn't much, I don't think that you can predict when a volcano will explode or erupt, right? But you can predict a meteor. Like, you can like kind of like trace a meteor and predict where a meteor is going to hit, because we have like telescopes and satellites and people studying the sky, and people like, yo, look at this. This is coming right at us. We got to go. Or we got to, disperse or evacuate. We have somewhat of a better grasp on when a meteor will strike and when it will strike the planet than a volcano that is already on our planet from exploding, which is insane to think about, but something that is in our capabilities of knowledge. But that would be also a very, very bad one. Like, imagine that alert popping up on your phone, like, meteor the size of an entire city is approaching Earth's atmosphere without stopping, without slowing down or whatever, gaining speed, and we do not have the capabilities to avoid it or engage it. At that point, like, if it's like a size of a gigantic city, like, pretty much like that's it for us, right? Like, that's something that's like gonna just put our planet into a freaking wasteland of just nothing, no life at all. I mean, I think that the meteor that killed the dinosaurs was much, much, much smaller than like an actual city size. So you think about it, like a city-sized meteor coming to the planet, like, there ain't no way no one is surviving that unless you already have like an underground shelter with food for like decades, which nobody has, and you're prepped and you're ready, and you're like, I ain't moving. I'm digging down and I'm bunkering in. But if you're not somebody like that, I mean, at that point you're toast. And at that point I would not want that alert, because at that point there is pretty much no escaping that fate. It's pretty much set in stone, like the planet is done. The planet is due for a massive reset, and everybody's going. You, your dog, the lions, the tigers, they're all gone. Ain't no way Noah's Ark can save us. No ark, no one can save us at that point. So I think at that point I would not want a national alert. I would just not want one. I mean, I don't care if it helps people, like, people like think that they need to hear it. I wouldn't want that. I'll be honest. I just wouldn't want that. I guess the funnest one, after those really, depressing ones, which you really have no choice of, the funnest one I think that we could have is alien invasion. That would be so sick. Like, it wouldn't be good, right? It would be actually terrible. But an alien invasion, I feel like we could actually have a chance to fight back and to prepare and to really like be able to get ready to defend our planet and stand our ground and be like, these aliens ain't gonna fuck with us and we're gonna fuck with them. And this is kind of just an alert, and not just an alert, but like a get ready. It's an alarm, like, get ready, we're about to fight. That would be much more fun. That would be actually a lot more of a fun national alert than those other ones that are just like doomsday. I wouldn't want that. I don't know, though, if like an alien species would actually go to that big of a pomp and circumstance to invade our planet, though. Unless they were warmongers and they wanted our planet, or they wanted to kill us, just for the sake of it because they can. That would be a crazy alert. That would be insane. Like, could you imagine that just across your screens, like, aliens have landed and are hostile and seek shelter, defend yourself as best you can. The military has been deployed, and, be with your families. Like, that would be actually insane. That'd be a crazy, crazy thing to think about. But I would much, much, much take that over any other doomsday scenario. I just would. I would not want to be in a volcanic disaster, a meteor, zombie apocalypse, nuclear fallout. I would not want to deal with any of those, because the outcome is always grim. It's always, I think, in those scenarios, like the most grimmest of futures that you can actually possibly live in. See, alien invasion, like, unless we're all enslaved by the aliens, that'd be pretty bad. But at the point before all that, let's say, it's not at that point yet. Before that, we have the chance, the opportunity, the sole opportunity for Earth to unite as one. And to be like, you know what? We may have our differences. We may be Rams fans. We may be 49ers fans. But today, I am a human being. And I will stand and defend Earth. I would take up arms and fight off these alien scum from taking over our planet and destroying us one by one. That movie Independence Day really, really works. Like, it is like the dream scenario in order to unite an entire planet. Now, that is a movie, right? That is a movie that is written, and it's meant to be an action movie, but a feel-good movie also. It has Will Smith in his absolute prime of an actor. Maybe his earlier days, but those early days of Will Smith is prime Will Smith to me. And him as the hero in Independence Day, like just uniting people around the globe. Everybody's uniting to fight off the aliens. The differences are just gone. Nobody cares about religion. Anything like that is just gone. No one cares. It's just humans versus aliens because they want to kill us all. And they don't want any part of us. They want to exterminate us. It's an extermination mission, and we're next. That's, I believe, a quote in the movie. And today, if we were in like a similar circumstance where aliens were trying to invade us, I can guarantee you, like just by, just how the world works and how countries will stab each other in the back, will betray each other, how people are so distrustful. No one can really trust anybody anymore, or at least it's very hard to. Some countries might give up like their entire freedoms and side with the aliens. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine like our enemies, like let's say like the aliens have a goal, right, to exterminate Earth, but we will start with the United States of America. We are going to start there. They make that very, very clear. They make that very clear. And then could you imagine if all the countries that hated us, that hate our guts, hate our very existence, could you imagine them being like, yo, aliens, we don't like them either. Like, if you let us live and we just all team up and exterminate the United States of America, we'll be on your side. We'll serve you. You can have our planet. Like, could you imagine that? I mean, like that is a very, very far stretched out scenario. It very much is. But I definitely can see other countries out there that do not like us one bit. That they're like, you know what? Okay, like we'll side with you. We'll exterminate the fuck out of the USA, but you can stick around because you offer to help, and I guess we'll keep you as second-class citizens under our regime, and you can live. Like, I could totally see something like that happen. I mean, I just feel like today's world is much more darker, much more like much more corrupt than any movie really, any TV show ever depicts. Like, the world is just a much more grimmer place than it actually is. And it's not something that you want to think about too much, because then you'll be like, well, is there anybody even good? Does anybody have a soul? Does anybody care about anything? You'd probably be sad and disappointed to come out and learn that nobody, at least not that many people, actually truly give a shit about you or me or anybody really. out there. It's quite, sad. It's a sad realization when when you're like, well, who actually gives a damn about what I think or about what I feel? Turns out not that many people. Not that many people care. I'll be completely honest. Something that I really, really don't care about at all. And I enjoy the memes. I enjoy all the joking. And I don't really hate the person. I don't hate the person at all. I really don't hate the person, but I just really don't care about the coverage, I guess, of what's been happening with the NFL. And not with any player, but a person that they're kind of latching onto. A very famous person, a person that a lot of people enjoy, the person has a lot of fans of. Very famous person. And that's Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift, who I'm not a fan of her music at all. I think like the only real song that I've heard all the way through is Shake It Off, which is a very good song. It's very catchy, and I'm a big fan of catchy songs that sound good. Like, I don't give a shit about any of the lyrics in the song. I truly don't. I think one of the lines is haters gonna hate, players gonna play, or something like that, which is, kind of is, I mean, like, it's true. Like, I'm going to hate, and I will hate this portion of how the NFL is like claiming Taylor Swift as their own. Like, it's not just like in the games, like when she's supporting her boyfriend, Travis Kelce, at his games, right? But it's like now, like the NFL is posting social media posts on Instagram and on X of Taylor Swift. It's almost like they're trying to hijack Taylor Swift's likeliness, and to use it to gain more fans, to gain more people to watch NFL football, which is absolutely something that the NFL would do because they are business, business first. The more eyes that they get on their games, the better business they have. I understand that. I do understand that. But I don't think that, it's going to work in the long term. What if Travis and Taylor Swift do not end up, being together for that long? What if it's like a kind of a short-term relationship? What if it's like something that's like not even for that long? And the NFL goes into great lengths to post about it, to post pictures and memes and stuff about it, and videos and all this coverage of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. And it really doesn't go that far, and it's just kind of like a passing shadow. Like you see it there, it's hot for a minute, and then it's gone. That's kind of how I feel about this whole coverage, the NFL coverage of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's relationship. Even though I'm pretty sure that none of them probably like what the NFL is doing with their relationship. I mean, Travis Kelce has come out and said that the NFL is kind of like blowing it out of proportion, sharing a little too much, posting a little too much about them, her and Taylor, which, I can understand. If I was in a relationship with somebody famous and I didn't want anybody to know, I would say, don't come to anything that I'm involved in. Don't show your face. Don't come to anything that I do. Don't interact with me. Let's just keep it a secret. And I'm pretty sure like Taylor Swift fans, as crazy and as rabid as they can be, they would probably sniff out a Travis Kelce. But it would take some time. It would take a lot of time. And I'm pretty sure there was rumblings before she debuted, right beside Donna Kelce in her suite at Arrowhead Stadium. Before that, there was like rumblings, and that that big reveal, that announcement, essentially, sitting next to Travis Kelce's mom, confirming that they are seeing each other, that they are a couple, just blew up like their whole status. And these memes and these jokes and these people saying that, and it's mainly Taylor Swift fans, like saying that Taylor Swift put Travis Kelce in the light, or made him notable, or made him noticeable. I mean, clearly a troll. The fact that some people are like, how dare you? What are you talking about? Like, honestly, I mean, like, it's a complete troll. It's a complete joke, and it's a complete troll. The fact that people are actually falling for this and overreacting is insane. I mean, the amount of people that actually share the two interests, right? There are not many people out there that I'm going to assume and I'm going to guess that share these two interests. Taylor Swift, like loving Taylor Swift, like being like a mega fan of Taylor Swift and being a giant fan of the NFL. There are probably not a lot of people that share those two in particular interests. There probably is not that many. So the fact that, this whole thing of like Taylor Swift put Travis Kelce on the map, or he made him famous, like, obviously the Swifties are going to say that because they don't even know football, probably. They probably don't even know anything about football. They probably didn't even know who Travis Kelce was. We knew, like us fans of the NFL, we know because he's the best tight end in the league. Of course we know who he is. He's Travis Kelce. But the fact that people were just like getting mad about it when Swifties were like saying like, oh, well, I Taylor Swift made Travis Kelce famous. It's completely a joke. It's completely a joke. And you know what? The fact that I'm even talking about it, that I'm talking about Taylor Swift when I never would in my life because I'm not a fan. The fact that I'm actually talking about Taylor Swift is insane because, she probably would have never come across my radar, my algorithm, if she had never dated Travis Kelce. I was just in my own little world, watching my football on my football Sundays, having a time, and then all of a sudden I see, Taylor Swift. Nothing wrong with that, but then I get the Swifties coming in, and the Swifties trying to be NFL fans and possibly being Travis Kelce fans, and invading the space of football because Taylor Swift goes to 2 games to watch Travis Kelce. It's like, dang. I mean, it truly was an invasion of interest. Like, Taylor Swifties just invaded the NFL because of them being together. It's insane. I actually could not believe it, how quick that they came, and that they're not just like, now she's like, there's like reports and trackers like, is she going to be at this game? Is she going to be at that game? It's like, oh my God, like I haven't really seen like any celebrities, game day status that is treated with such importance in my life. Like, now there's like Taylor Swift watches at these NFL games. Is she going to be with Travis after the game? Is she going to be with Donna Kelce? It's like, dude, this is actually insane. For one, how many people even care about this woman? I know she's a great singer. She has to be. She has so many fans. I know that she's very beautiful. She's an attractive woman. I could see that. But like the fact that how much like she has Swifties, how like Taylor Swift is like their god almost, is actually insane. I don't understand it, and I don't think that I ever will. I really don't think that I ever will. It's bizarre. Like, I am a fan of like, famous people as well. I was a big fan of Will Smith before he slapped Chris Rock, and I think that I still am a fan of Will Smith. I don't think that the slap was a good thing at all, but I still like his movies. But I'm like not gonna be like, oh, is Will Smith going to be at the Philadelphia Eagles game? He's from Philly. He loves the Eagles. Like, I'm not going to be like, that crazy, It's almost as like we are now seeing these fan accounts that are on Instagram and X that just worship these celebrities, these actors. Now they're just becoming more and more like, especially with like Taylor Swift and the Swifties, it's like a real life experience when you see how they act when Taylor Swift is like even within a mile radius, maybe even more. Like they just crowd everything. They actually could be like a disturbance of the peace, because I've seen, I think it was like her first game at Arrowhead Stadium, and like they were just like kind of like rushing like the area where she was located at in Arrowhead Stadium, and like people were just like waiting for her to come out and so they could snap a picture and just say, hey Taylor, and go crazy. I mean, you see everybody do it now. It's actually kind of insane. If I was a celebrity, well, I'm not a celebrity, but actually no, if I was in the position, in the presence of a celebrity that I like Matthew Stafford, if I'm like in a vicinity of Matthew Stafford, and I'm a Rams fan, I love Matthew Stafford, I'm going to do my very, very best to not pull out a camera, to not take a picture, to not take a video, and just say, what's up, dude? I mean, like, I'm being dead serious. Like, I would do my very, very best. Like, I might get like the because it's like a 1 in a million shot. It's like a 1 in a billion actually, that I'm in the same vicinity as like Matthew Stafford, like somebody I actually care about, that I actually enjoy what he does, and my interest in football, right? Like, and I'm a Rams fan, like, and he's a quarterback. Like, I would be fucking like almost starstruck, right? But I would do my very, very, very best to not like shove my camera in his face, shove myself to take a selfie. I'd just be like, what's up, dude? Maybe dap him up a little bit, maybe handshake. And I'd be like, what's up? How you doing? I would try my very best to do that, because I feel like with celebrities and with like athletes like that are famous, like they do not want to have like cameras and publicity and attention given to them, especially like when they're doing like day-to-day things like getting coffee, going to the grocery store, running some errands, like working out at the gym, maybe even just driving their car. Like, I would do my very, very best, because I don't think that they want that in their lives. Like, there might be a point like at the very beginning of their stardom when they're like, getting used to things, and they're getting acclimated with how their life is going to be with fame and with fortune. And I would just kind of like be like an actual person with these people, because at the end of the day, I feel like they would like that interaction a lot more than an over-the-top fan trying to get like a selfie like every single second that they see them. Or like even with like I'm a big fan of comedy. Like, I love Dave Chappelle, I love Tom Segura, Chris Rock. I think that I would just be like, what's up, dude? How you doing? What you doing? How you doing? I wouldn't even ask them about their profession, because I doubt they want to hear like, I love your special, or I love your movies. I doubt they want to hear that. As much as like they, they're grateful for what they do, and they love what they do as well, that to them is still like work. I would assume. And the last thing that they want to probably hear is stuff about work. So I think I would, if I were to meet somebody, and let's say I actually do meet Matthew Stafford, I would do my very, very best to not talk about the Rams or even football, because I feel like that's something like they would not want to hear. They just would not want to hear about that stuff. It's like meeting like Brad Pitt and be like, yo, I love you in Inglourious Bastards, bro. Like, I don't think he wants to hear that. I think he's well past that movie. He's already done it. He doesn't want to hear anything about that. He just wants to like live his life. Like, if he's getting a coffee, if we're at like a coffee shop, right? He's getting a coffee, I'm right next to him. Be like, yo, what's good to get here, bro? Like, what can you recommend me a coffee, like, or a tea, or a spritz, or whatever the hell you drink, or espresso? Like, give me something that's gonna be good. I would ask him that, because like there's got to be a point in time when you're a celebrity and you don't have like an assistant getting your own coffee. There's a point in, I think, every celebrity's life where they're just like, you know what? I'm going to brave the public and just go get my own shit, because I don't care anymore. I don't care. You see these crazy like photos of like celebrities out getting coffee and shit. I've seen those a million places all the time, right? You got to think to yourself like, you know, this dude, this girl is famous, right? This person is famous. Ain't no way they're gonna be out in public getting a coffee. They have people to do that. They pay people to go get them stuff. Why would they be out there? Is it because they don't want to pay it? They pay the person to go get the coffee, or they're just like, I'm feeling like I want to go see some people. Or maybe I think like they can kind of get by, in and out, and then just come back with their coffee or whatever they're doing, right? Just brave the world and go out there. I just kind of want to, if I was in that position to see somebody famous, I would make it a pleasant experience. I would do my very, very, very best to not annoy them, not make them regret their decision. Maybe even try to be their friend. That might even be like the one thing that they don't want is for somebody to be friendly. But I guarantee you that it's probably a lot better than shoving a phone camera in their face, wanting to get a selfie or wanting to take a picture. Like, I don't think that anybody wants that. I mean, if you were in that position, you wouldn't want that either. You would not want somebody in your direct face pushing a camera in your face to take a selfie. You would not want that. I don't care who you are. You wouldn't want that. So I think that, I'm kind of preparing myself for when this does happen. If in fact it does happen, to keep cool, keep calm, and just not freak out. I think that's like the best advice I can give you for that. Even though it's probably never going to happen to you. It probably make someone's day if you were not like an over the top fan. And, in this case, kind of stemming off of, Taylor Swift and her fans, those people are so crazy, so rabid, and only the ones I've seen on social media and, just on the internet in general. Those people are crazy. Like, they are pretty much insane. Like, again, they think that Taylor Swift is their god. And you know what? Maybe she has some pretty good songs I just have never heard that if I hear, I'll become a Swiftie. I'm not too sure. But they got those people. She has those people like pretty much hook, line, and sinker. Like, they love her. They want to know who she's dating at all times. And maybe that is also that could also be a reason of why she's had so many different, boyfriends. Like, what if like the fact that they are literally watching her every single move is a reason of why these relationships don't work? That could be possibly a thing too. Like, there's just too many eyes on this woman, I think. And I think that that's, probably a bad thing. When you have too much publicity, too many eyes on you, I don't think it's good for your brain. If I'm being completely honest, like, I don't think that the amount of fame that we get, that people get, celebrities get, famous people get in life is healthy for anybody. I truly don't think so, because you see, I mean, like, if you were at any event where you were the center of attention, like, let's say you had to give a speech, right, of, a speech at your school, or like anything like that, where you were the center of attention, it doesn't really feel good. It's pretty intimidating. It's scary. Then you have like anxiety after, like, what you said. Was it right what I said? Did people like it? And you just kind of think about that. Taylor Swift has to have that literally every single day, 24/7. Like, anything she says, anything she does, any person she's with is looked at under a microscope and just like criticized, ridiculed, analyzed. It's like it's an insane way to live your life. And my God, I hope she doesn't really pay attention to anything, any of it, because I don't think anybody could actually live like a normal life if you do. Not to say that her life is normal, but like, it can't be like, oh, this is a pleasant time. Like, I'm having such a good life. Yay. I don't think that's possible. At that level of fame, Like when you have like that level of fame and that level of celebrity, like life, like that just cannot be. That cannot be pleasant. But yeah, the Swifties have taken over the NFL, and I'm not sure if I'm a fan of it. But we'll see. And it's not really the Swifties. Taylor Swift is just the NFL is just milking Taylor Swift now, which is kind of annoying. Just over the top, just kind of like is milking Taylor Swift. Like, look who's at the game, look who's here. It's like, oh my God, we don't care. Football fans, we don't care. Swifties, you can care. That's fine. Care about Taylor Swift, go ahead. No one is stopping you. Just don't invade my Sundays. Moving on to a different topic. Review time. Review time for the show Ahsoka, the new Star Wars TV show on Disney Plus. Ahsoka, starring Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano. I talked about it a little bit about 2 months ago when it first premiered, and I was really excited about it. I was excited. I like what I was seeing. I was a fan of Rebels. I was a fan of Clone Wars. I love Ahsoka, the character of Ahsoka. I've always loved. I've always, at the beginning, it was pretty cringy to get into because she wasn't well written. But with the evolution of the character throughout the Clone Wars, throughout Rebels, and even in Mandalorian, and I believe she's in Book of Boba Fett as well, but I'm not too sure. Being played by Rosario Dawson, voiced by Ashley Eckstein, like she is a solidified GOAT of Star Wars. I almost feel like the people who don't know or have never seen anything with Ahsoka Tano, especially animated, are missing a big chunk of like what a full experience of Star Wars is. Like if you don't know her like involvement in like the Clone Wars and even throughout up to like Revenge of the Sith, like it's like a crazy like character that you're missing in your entire lore and experience, I think, in Star Wars, and how she is so important to like characters like Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and even in the new ones like in the Mandalorian as well. Like she is such an important character that I was shocked that she wasn't mentioned in any of the sequel trilogy movies, wasn't brought up until anything, and pretty much until like the revival of Clone Wars, and even in Mandalorian, I believe season 2. Like it was, she was almost kind of like tossed away for a while, and it was kind of annoying. It was kind of like, wow, you have such a beloved character, a beloved female character that is strong in her own way and beloved by everybody who's seen it. I mean, like, there's going to be people who think that she's annoying and not a good character. Of course, that's with everybody. But, like, the fact that she has so much backstory and so much lore and so much, like, good storytelling, in my opinion, of her journey throughout, at this point, like, pretty much every, the prequels, even through after the original trilogy, and even after that with Mando, like she's seen pretty much everything in Star Wars that we think that is, the important nuggets, right? Episodes 1 through 6, she's pretty much seen it all, right? It's incredible, like how much that character is so important to the entire story of Star Wars. The fact that she's finally getting her own live action TV show feels so right, but also in a way a little later than I would have expected, I'll be honest. But nonetheless, we got the show, and Rosario Dawson is back as Ahsoka, like I said, reprising that role from Mandalorian and playing it very, very well. And as I was saying in the first 2 episodes, that I really dug them, enjoyed them a lot. They had a very good feel to it. A very good, like, mythical feel of, like, some of the mythical backstories or the backbone of the Star Wars universe, and how like that was all going to be implemented into the show, and even stuff going forward. Like, are they going to bring some of this stuff back? Are they going to even, touch on this? What about that? There is a season 2, I believe that is confirmed. I'm not sure how that's going to go. I mean, I'm really not too sure how that might go, which is a good thing because I want to be surprised. I want to see what the creators and the writers have to offer. But back to this season, though, this full season of Ahsoka. This is going to be a spoiler review because I feel like I can't really touch on the moments without kind of telling you what happens and how you feel in those moments. So you have been warned. There will be spoilers in this review going forward. So the show really goes for about the first 4 episodes. It feels so good. It feels very, very Star Warsy. It feels very, very Rebelsy, which I dig. The fact that we get to see live action Sabine, Hera, Ahsoka, Chopper, all in a live action, like it was just incredible to see. And the fact the introduction of these bad characters, or the villains, sorry. This rogue Jedi named Balin Sark, I believe his name, Balin Sark, and then his apprentice Shin Hati. Not Sith, but more like a dark Jedi or rogue Jedi. Pretty cool to see. You never really see that. You always see either Sith, or I guess Kylo Ren was kind of a dark Jedi. He was not declared Sith. He was just like a dark side user. But, in this one, they I think they make it pretty clear that they're not Sith at all. And so it feels very, very Rebelsy, very cool. And we get to kind of see, if you remember in Star Wars Rebels, that whole like arc of like the world between worlds, and how this it's like almost like a dimension opening of where you can see events that have happened in the past. It's been a while since I've seen that episode of Rebels, so I'm trying to remember it from what it was. It was like almost like a timeline that you could see, like a mystical timeline that exists that you can see where these events have happened, and even see people that have been in your past life. And there's an episode 5, I believe, that that really dives into that. Like Ahsoka's battling Balin Sark. She gets it's like over like a cliff, next to a cliff on an ocean side, and she gets kicked off and she falls into this ocean. And I don't know if she like goes into this world between worlds or if she's like dreaming about it, but in this world between worlds, she confronts her old master in the Clone Wars, Anakin Skywalker. And it's Hayden Christensen reprising the role in the flesh, in the garb as Anakin Skywalker from Revenge of the Sith. It isn't like some like old version that they, aged upward. It's like him from Revenge of the Sith. Like, it's pretty wild to see that, and he's like confronting Ahsoka. She's kind of doubting her abilities as a Jedi. Doesn't really have a purpose, doesn't really have a motivation of being a Jedi, really. Is kind of losing the faith and losing her strength. And in this episode, like, he's like just trying to test her and trying to be like, you know what? No, don't lose the faith in the Force. Don't lose the faith in the Jedi. And, he's kind of like taking her throughout like important events in the Clone Wars. And like they have like a lightsaber battle in the world between worlds, and then they have like a flashback when she was like a kid in the Clone Wars. And it was cool because it was like a flashback, so they got like a young actress to play a younger Ahsoka from the Clone Wars and depict like a battle. Like Anakin Skywalker was like wearing his uniform from the Clone Wars, and he was like General Skywalker vibes and leading a bunch of clone troopers. And it was like, oh my God, like this is incredible. This is like, what live action Clone Wars would look like. And it was like, it looked amazing. I could not believe what they were doing. And, flash forwarding to other parts of her life, like the Battle of Mandalore towards the end of the Clone Wars series. and even having, you know, um, Anakin like kind of like, really like showing his like what he would look like if he did not get burned on Mustafar. Like there's this part where she's got to like really like battle Anakin Skywalker in the dark side form, like evil. Like he has a red lightsaber, his eyes are like bloody, not bloody, but like Sith yellow, and he looks like crazy. He looks like this is what it would have been if he did not lose to Obi-Wan on Mustafar. Like it was just incredible to see. And she battles him and battles him and battles him. And she learns like, to always believe and to keep going and to not stop, and that she can love, and she wants to live. She wants to keep going and have a purpose in her life as a Jedi. And then Anakin like turns good again in that flashback and is like, yeah, there's hope for you. And like, that whole episode ends like, them going to find Grand Admiral Thrawn, which was like their entire goal from the beginning. And then seeing him on like this planet that's like not even in the Star Wars galaxy. It's so far out that they took him. And it's like, if it's like at the end of Rebels, like Thrawn and goes away at the end, so far away, and he takes Ezra, who was a part of the Rebels crew, and Ezra is in the show too, and he's on this planet that they're on, and it's just like a full like Rebels reunion. Like it's actually crazy how like, that cartoon, that TV show that aired on Disney XD like 7 or 8 years ago is now being like adapted and brought to life in live action with new actors to portray these characters. And it's like we didn't even step a beat or miss a beat. And it's all thanks to Dave Filoni. Like Dave Filoni, that guy just gets like Star Wars like themes. He gets character development. He gets all this stuff just right, I think, in my opinion, about Star Wars. Like his leadership when he's like overseeing these projects, like they just have like come with like a like very, 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 very close to George Lucas as possible. Like George Lucas was like Dave Filoni's master, and he did all he could and learned everything from George to develop these characters that he created in animation, and eventually to bring them into live action. And I think that that Ahsoka, the show for me, is one of like the the better attempts, one of the best attempts actually, to make a Star Wars show with already existing characters and existing worlds and experiences, and build upon that respectfully to the characters that they've already created, and added more to it and a whole new story to it, and continuing it. Like I wish that in the sequel trilogy we could be getting, that the sequel trilogy had like Grand Admiral Thrawn as the bad guy instead of Palpatine again. Like they had this, what it could have been just much, much, much more cohesive, a universe that actually made sense, that that made sense, that things connected, that they weren't so confusing. Like the more I think about it, right, the more like these TV shows are getting closer and closer to the time period of the sequel trilogy, right? And we have, like in the show, we have the New Republic and where they belong in the Star Wars galaxy. And then we have Thrawn, who has like pretty much like been on this planet for a while, wanting to go back and not being able to until the end of the first season of Ahsoka, to go back to their galaxy and to reclaim his empire. Like, there's no mentions of like a Kylo Ren. There's no mentions of a Supreme Leader Snoke. Like, there's no mentions of like, oh, maybe, oh, I heard a whisper that the Emperor is still alive. Like, it's almost weird to think that this universe is connected to the sequel universe, like to the sequel stories. Like it feels like that the sequel stuff just does not connect to what they are building upon right now. Like, it just does not feel like it connects whatsoever. And the sequel stuff, only happens about 33 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. So it's like not that far of a time period, of a time frame, to be, telling these type of stories. And like, not like, how are we gonna get to, as a fan, how is this the history of Star Wars? How does this shape up until, the fall of the Empire and Darth Vader, and to, the rise of the First Order, the First Order with Kylo Ren and Supreme Leader Snoke. Like, how does this all get to that, that part of the galaxy? How does that even work? I don't even know. If I'm being completely honest, I have no idea how any of this matches up. I've been trying to think about that, because the more they bring in things that I like Ahsoka, like Anakin back. Anakin is even a Force ghost in this. Like, you see him for a brief second of him being a Force ghost, like right next to Ahsoka, watching over Ahsoka. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why was he not like, watching over Luke Skywalker? Why was he not watching over Rey? Luke is his son. Like, why would he not watch over Luke? Why would he not watch over Rey, knowing the importance of their circumstances? Like, I feel like Disney tried so hard to make everything new and not heard of, and almost like make it their own, and try their hardest to not rely on already existing canon to make their own. We're at a point now where it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And up until these past shows, like Obi-Wan, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Andor, it all kind of is starting to make a little bit more sense of how and where things connect. Like, at the end of Obi-Wan, we got, spoiler, at the end of Obi-Wan, the show, which I was disappointed with, we got a reunion between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn's Force ghost. Like that was a moment where I think that everybody was waiting and hoping we would see more of in this show, and he's in there for 30 seconds of the show. It's like, now I know that the show, is planting seeds and at least acknowledging like the past characters, on these characters' journeys. Like, yes, it makes total sense for Obi-Wan's journey to continue as long as Qui-Gon Jinn is still there, because in the canon, Qui-Gon Jinn is a Force ghost. He has that ability. That's already been established. Why is he not there when in Return of the Jedi and in the original trilogy, Obi-Wan's Force ghost is popping in and out with Luke Skywalker all the time? Like, why is Qui-Gon so rare when Obi-Wan in the OT is there all the time? It would, think of this, I mean, it would just make more sense and have much more of an impact if Qui-Gon Jinn is in that Obi-Wan series throughout, and not just for 30 seconds. Yes, those 30 seconds were awesome, but from the very beginning of the show, we're teased for Qui-Gon Jinn. We're teased like he's trying to communicate, he's trying to talk to Qui-Gon Jinn, and we barely get him at the very end for 30 seconds. It might even be less. It might even be less. than 30 seconds. But like it feels like there's canon there that already exists, that we want to see, that already has a potential to enhance these characters' stories, but Disney just does not want to use it for some reason. They would rather create like a Rose Tico character, or like I don't know, Azori Bliss from The Rise of Skywalker. Like, okay, why? It makes no sense. You already have a gold mine of characters. Why don't you use more of them? Come on. And by the way, they already brought back Boba Fett. You know who they're going to bring back next. Come on. Mace Windu. They're going to bring that guy back. Like, no doubt. So, I know this kind of got on a little bit of a tangent with the Ahsoka review, but at the end of the day, Ahsoka is not my favorite new Star Wars show. That might still be Mandalorian. Nah, it might actually be my favorite. I mean, Mando Season 3, if I'm being completely honest, kind of brings Mando down for me. Just because it just kind of feels like a big step down in terms of the quality. Ahsoka, in a way, just felt much, more grounded, more focused on the story. Not a whole lot of filler. I mean, I'll be honest, like some episodes kind of feel like we're dragging along a little bit too much. But ultimately, we still stick with the same characters and the goal and what's happening that they've established. So it doesn't really feel like too much filler to me. But I'll give Ahsoka an 8.2 out of 10. It's not my favorite. It's not the best. It doesn't have a strong ending. The ending is a little bit weak. But it's definitely solid. And it leaves much more open and much more to be desired in the future. And hopefully, we'll see more legacy characters pop in, because, like I said before, Ahsoka has been there and has been with all these legacy characters and the important events of Star Wars. She deserves to see, like, have more of these very, very, very important journeys and these important stories, because the character herself is just an important character. Like, the fact that Disney just essentially kicked her to the side and say, like, you're not important, is kind of criminal. Like, she is so important to the original and even the prequel trilogy. Like, so important. Like, but, she got her new show. She's going to get another season. So at least we're looking up. At least we're making progress in developing stories that are worth telling. And I think that Ahsoka was a story, along with the other characters that appeared in Rebels, now in live action, that are worth telling in the world of Star Wars. So I give that show, Ahsoka, an 8.2 out of 10. And that's going to be it for me today, people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes drop every Thursday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all that good stuff. And yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next week.